Hi, this is Steve and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about state pension and whether I'm going to be eligible for it, whether I'm going to get any of it and whether I'm relying on it for my future plans. First of all, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I did work in a bank for 13 years, but none of what I talk about on any of these videos constitutes any advice. I'm merely here to tell you about my experience and what I'm doing with regards to my own finances. So, as you probably know already, my plans are to cash in or take my 25% lump sum next year when I'm 55, which is currently allowed. I think after 2028 it goes to, you have to be 57 before you're allowed to access your pension. So hopefully they won't change it in the meantime. It'd be my luck if they did, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be all right. So I should be able to access 25% of my pension tax-free as a lump sum, and then I'm going to use that to leave it invested and do what's called drawdown, which means I'll be drawing or cashing in parts of my pension as a bit of an income. I'll also be looking at other ways of generating income as well. I'll cover those in later videos. The reason I wanted to cover this today was because I've had a couple of questions from people who know my plans about, are you fully paid up in your state pension? Now, I did something called opting out back in the day. Back in the 80s, I sat down with a financial advisor who advised me to opt out of SERPS, which is part of the National Insurance Pension Contribution Scheme. Can't remember what SERPS stands for. State Earnings blah, 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 something. And anyway, I opted out, chose to opt out, and I signed some paperwork. I didn't really know what I was signing. I was only about 16, 17 at the time. Maybe I was 8, maybe you have to be 18, I don't know, but I was very young. Didn't have a clue about what pensions were. Didn't really care because it was way off, and here we are now. How time flies. And so I'd signed up for this thing. I didn't really know what it was all about. Anyway, when I left working in the bank that I was working for and I was looking into my pension then, I suddenly realised I came across some information about opting out of SERPS and where that money goes. And what it did is it redirected some of my national insurance contributions from employers over the years into a private pension pot, which I tracked down with a company. It was with a company called Guardian Royal Exchange, I believe, and or Guardian Investments, Guardian something. And I contacted them and found there was £14,000 sitting in there from where my national insurance had been redirected, which was fantastic. So I then moved that over to my SIPP, which is currently held with Hargreaves Lansdown, or HL. SIPP being self-invested pension plan, which again I can't access until I'm 55, but I can manipulate it, and that's what I've been doing. So I managed to double that money whilst over the last 8 years, whilst it was in the SIPP, which is all well and good. And I double checked my contributions to national insurance, and yes, I'm fully paid for the 35 years that I have to be to qualify for full state pension. So basically, to get full state pension, you have to be, in 2010 you had to be 65. 2018 they upped it to 66. 2026, so next year, it'll be 67 for a man, and then they're phasing it in for both male and females up to 2028, I believe. By 2044, they're even talking about 68, and there have been some schools of thought floating it at 70, and even making it means tested as well. So, if you're in that bracket, you're probably never going to get it. They haven't really got enough money to pay it as it is. But what's interesting is it stayed for 60 years at 65. And literally in one generation it's gone now to, they're floating around 68, 67, 68. If you were born after 1977, you're not getting it till you're 68. I think I've got that right. I could be wrong, but that's what the figures seem to be telling me. I've just been checking on .gov.uk. So the current pension is £230.25 per week. They've just increased it, and that's on the new pension. So new pensions are available to anybody who was born after the 6th of April 51 as a man, or the same date in 53 as a woman. If you were born before that, you would go on what's called basic pension. I'm not really sure I know a great deal about that, but the new state pension, if you were born after those years, 51 or 53, you would qualify for, once you reach the right age, you would qualify for the new state pension. There's links on .gov.uk. Literally just type in gov.uk and then click on the pensions tab, and there's loads of stuff about pensions on there. Pension Wise, which is another government-run scheme, also helps with advice around pensions if anybody is interested in that. So as far as the question is, will I get it? Possibly, hopefully, if they've still got enough money. Will I be relying on it? Absolutely not. All of my plans are based on my SIPP, my private pension, and selling my property and releasing the hopefully some equity in the property. But it's all really based around my private pension. I'm not going to base any of my plans at all on receiving state pension. That will be an absolute bonus. £230 a week would not be sniffed at. You know, what's that, nearly £1 a month? So that would really help. I'm going to be trying to keeping my outgoings down to around £1,000 a month or less when after next year, when we're living in the caravan. I'm filming in the caravan, by the way. This is the caravan we're going to be upgrading next year. We've had some wonderful holidays in this one, but it's going to be way too small for living in that kind of length of time. So we're going to be staying in various certified locations and small farm areas and that sort of thing for probably up to a few weeks at a time, and we need a much bigger caravan, and I'll get a relevant tow vehicle for that as well, but that's the subject of another video. But I just wanted to cover that for the time being. So the key points there really are that, you know, it stayed at 65 years old, qualifying for a pension for 60 years, and literally within 20 years has gone up to 67, 68. So, you know, who's to know what they're going to be doing. I know they're floating around all sorts of ideas, certainly making it means tested. The fact that that's out in the ether will probably mean they'll do it. Usually they put these things up for consultation, and you know what that means. Consultation basically means they've made the decision and they'll do it anyway. So I'm basing all of my plans on not receiving the state pension. If I get it, it's an extra bonus. So if you are thinking about retirement and you're looking at how to plan for it, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking any videos that you watch if they are useful to you. I'll be updating, I've done a previous video on my actual figures on my SIPP. I'm going to be updating that every week, not weekends, because it's Sunday today, so Monday tomorrow is when the markets start moving, so I'm going to see what happens sort of midway throughout the day, and then I'll start putting my 1,000 or 2,000 from my SIPP where I'm holding money cash. I'm going to be investing that into the various indices that I'm investing in, but again I'll update at the end of the week as to what I've done and how it's done. Anyway, I hope that's been useful, interesting, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching.